Imagine waking up one morning to find that everything you've ever chased, every goal, every dream, every fleeting moment of satisfaction, has left you feeling emptier than before. You've climbed the ladder of success, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. Your relationships bring moments of joy, but they also tether you to anxieties you can't escape. Even your quietest pleasures seem to demand more from you, leaving behind a hollow ache where fulfillment should be. What if the very desires driving your existence are not guiding you toward happiness, but pulling you into an endless cycle of craving and discontent? This is not a hypothetical scenario. It's the human condition laid bare, a paradox so pervasive yet so overlooked that most people never even question its grip on their lives. Why does achieving what we want often feel like falling short? Why does acquiring more leave us yearning for something else, as though satisfaction itself were perpetually out of reach? And what does this tell us about the nature of desire itself? Is it a force meant to elevate us or to ensnare us? Desire, after all, is the engine of life. It propels you forward, fuels ambition, ignites passion, and drives creation. Without it, there would be no art, no progress, no love. But at what cost does this relentless pursuit come? Schopenhauer warned of its darker side, a ceaseless hunger that consumes everything in its path, leaving devastation in its wake. He called it the will, an insatiable, blind force that governs human existence, pushing us toward goals that ultimately betray their promise of happiness. Could it be that the same mechanism designed to keep us alive is also responsible for our deepest suffering? Consider how your own desires operate. They whisper promises of relief, fulfillment, or transcendence, but do they ever truly deliver? When was the last time you attained something you longed for and found lasting peace? Or did the victory merely open the door to new cravings, new insecurities, new fears? This cyclical pattern isn't unique to you. It's woven into the fabric of humanity itself. Every civilization, every culture, has grappled with the tension between wanting and having, striving and arriving. Yet rarely do we stop to ask why this cycle persists, and whether breaking free might require dismantling our most cherished assumptions about what it means to live well. What if the problem lies not in the objects of our desires, but in the act of desiring itself? What if the very mechanism that seems essential to growth and survival is also the source of our greatest pain? These questions cut deeper than mere philosophy. They strike at the core of who you are, forcing you to confront uncomfortable truths about your motivations, your values, and your place in the world. And yet, despite the weight of these inquiries, there remains a glimmer of hope, a possibility that understanding the roots of this paradox could illuminate a way out. To unravel this mystery, we must first descend into the labyrinth of the mind, tracing the hidden origins of desire back to their psychological and philosophical foundations. Only then can we begin to see how deeply entrenched this force is, and why escaping its grasp demands nothing less than a radical reimagining of what it means to truly live. So take a breath, steady yourself, and prepare to dive deeper. The answers may unsettle you, but they might also set you free. Now turn your attention inward. What lies beneath this endless cycle of wanting and yearning? Why does the mind seem incapable of resting in contentment, even when it has achieved what it sought? To answer these questions, we must delve into the shadowy recesses of human psychology and philosophy, into the tangled roots from which desire springs forth like an uncontrollable vine. Here, amidst the ruins of unexamined assumptions and buried instincts, lies the hidden problem. Desire is not merely a tool for survival. It is a tyrant that rules over us, often without our awareness. Schopenhauer's concept of the will offers a chilling insight into this dynamic. He argued that the will, the fundamental force driving all life, is blind, irrational, and insatiable. It operates independently of reason or morality, pushing organisms to seek sustenance, reproduction, and dominance with relentless intensity. For humans, however, this biological imperative takes on a uniquely destructive form. Unlike animals, whose desires are tethered to immediate needs, humans project their cravings onto abstract goals: wealth, status, love, power. These pursuits may seem noble or worthwhile, but they are ultimately extensions of the same primal impulse, a ceaseless striving that knows no end. But why does the will manifest so destructively in human consciousness? One clue lies in Carl Jung's exploration of the unconscious mind. Jung proposed that much of human behavior is driven by unseen forces buried deep within the psyche. Desires, he suggested, are not always rational or conscious choices. They emerge from archetypal patterns and unresolved conflicts that shape our motivations in ways we scarcely understand. When you chase after success or validation, are you truly acting out of free will? Or are you being pulled along by ancient scripts written in the language of fear, insecurity, and longing? Friedrich Nietzsche adds another layer to this puzzle with his notion of the will to power. While Schopenhauer saw the will as a source of suffering, Nietzsche viewed it as a creative force capable of transforming individuals and societies. Yet even here, there is a darker truth lurking beneath the surface. The will to power, unchecked, can lead to an insatiable hunger for control, not just over external circumstances, but over others and oneself. This drive for mastery often masks deeper insecurities, perpetuating a cycle of conquest and dissatisfaction. Each victory becomes a prelude to the next battle, each triumph a reminder of how far you still have to go. Modern neuroscience sheds further light on this phenomenon, revealing how deeply ingrained desire is in the structure of the brain. Dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward, plays a central role in reinforcing behaviors that promote survival. But its effects are fleeting, designed to keep you constantly seeking rather than savoring. Every time you achieve something you've desired, dopamine levels spike briefly before plummeting, leaving you craving more. This neurological feedback loop ensures that satisfaction remains elusive, trapping you in a perpetual state of pursuit. Societal forces compound this biological predisposition, shaping and amplifying individual desires through cultural conditioning. From childhood, you are taught to value certain achievements over others: academic excellence, career success, romantic partnerships. Advertising bombards you with images of idealized lives, fueling envy and discontent. Social media amplifies these pressures, creating a curated reality where everyone else appears happier, more accomplished, more fulfilled. In such an environment, desire becomes less about personal fulfillment and more about conformity, a desperate attempt to measure up to impossible standards. Yet perhaps the most insidious aspect of desire is its ability to disguise itself as necessity. You convince yourself that acquiring more possessions, climbing higher up the ladder, or finding the perfect partner will finally bring peace. But deep down, you know this isn't true. Satisfaction never arrives because the act of desiring itself creates new voids to fill. As Aldous Huxley once wrote, "There's only one corner of the universe you can be certain of improving, and that's your own self." And yet, instead of turning inward to confront the root causes of your discontent, you continue to look outward for solutions that cannot possibly work. This hidden problem, this relentless interplay between biology, psychology, and society, is what keeps humanity trapped in cycles of craving and frustration. It shapes not only individual lives but entire civilizations, driving economies, wars, and ideologies alike. But understanding its origins is only the beginning. The real challenge lies in confronting its consequences, the ways in which this invisible force distorts your perception, hijacks your emotions, and erodes your sense of self. Only by seeing clearly how desire operates can you hope to break free from its grasp. And so the question arises, if the very mechanism that drives you forward is also the source of your suffering, how do you escape its pull? How do you step outside the labyrinth of your own making and reclaim agency over your life? The answers lie ahead, but first, you must face the full weight of what you've uncovered. For now, carry this knowledge with you as you move deeper into the heart of the matter, where the unseen consequences of desire await to reveal themselves in all their devastating clarity. Now that you've glimpsed the hidden machinery of desire, the tangled web of biology, psychology, and culture, it's time to confront its shadow. What happens when this relentless force shapes not just individual lives but entire societies? How does it warp our perception of reality, distort our relationships, and erode the very foundations of meaning? These are the unseen consequences of unchecked desire, silent, pervasive, and devastating in their reach. They creep into every corner of existence, leaving behind a trail of disillusionment and despair. Consider for a moment how desire fractures your sense of self. Every craving you entertain pulls you away from the present moment, tethering you instead to an imagined future where fulfillment awaits. But what if that future never arrives? What if the person you're striving to become is always just out of reach, forever eclipsed by new goals and aspirations? In this endless chase, the authentic you begins to dissolve, replaced by a fragmented identity constructed around external achievements. You wear masks to please others, perform roles dictated by societal expectations, and lose sight of who you truly are beneath the layers of expectation. By the time you realize something is missing, the core of your being feels hollow, a void filled only by more striving, more wanting, more yearning. This fragmentation extends beyond the individual to infect interpersonal relationships. Desire doesn't exist in isolation. It thrives on comparison, competition, and scarcity. When two people enter into a relationship driven by unmet needs, whether for love, validation, or security, they risk becoming mirrors reflecting each other's insufficiencies. Love, which should be a source of connection and mutual growth, often devolves into a battleground where desires clash and resentments fester. Even acts of generosity can carry ulterior motives, giving to receive, loving to be loved, helping to feel superior. The result is a paradoxical loneliness at the heart of intimacy, where closeness becomes suffocating and separation unbearable. On a societal level, the consequences grow even more dire. Capitalism, for instance, thrives on the perpetuation of desire. It promises freedom through consumption, yet chains individuals to cycles of production and acquisition. Advertising convinces you that happiness lies in the next purchase, the next upgrade, the next luxury. Social hierarchies reinforce this dynamic, creating systems of inequality where those at the top hoard resources while those below scramble for scraps. This relentless pursuit of more, not just material wealth but power, status, influence, leads to environmental degradation, economic exploitation, and social unrest. Entire cultures become addicted to growth, mistaking expansion for progress, until the planet itself groans under the weight of human ambition. But perhaps the most profound consequence of unchecked desire is its impact on meaning itself. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, argued that the search for meaning is the primary motivational force in human life. Yet when desire dominates, meaning recedes. Your focus shifts from asking, "Why am I here?" to "What can I get?" Existential questions give way to transactional ones, reducing life to a series of exchanges rather than a journey of discovery. Without a deeper purpose to anchor you, the ceaseless churn of craving leaves you adrift, searching for significance in all the wrong places. Cognitive biases further entrench these patterns, making them nearly impossible to escape. The hedonic treadmill, for example, ensures that no matter how much you achieve, your baseline level of happiness remains unchanged. Each new milestone resets your expectations, pushing you to aim higher without ever delivering lasting satisfaction. Similarly, the spotlight effect convinces you that others are constantly judging your worth based on superficial markers like appearance, success, or possessions. Fear of inadequacy drives you to overcompensate, chasing accolades and approval in a futile attempt to silence inner doubts. And then there's the cultural narrative that equates busyness with value. Modern society glorifies productivity, measuring success by output rather than fulfillment. You fill your days with tasks, meetings, obligations, believing that exhaustion is evidence of importance. Yet beneath the surface lies a gnawing emptiness, a sense that despite all your efforts, you're running in place. This relentless activity numbs the pain of unmet desires, but also prevents you from confronting the root cause of your discontent. The cumulative effect of these unseen consequences is a kind of existential vertigo. You stand at the edge of a precipice, staring into the abyss of your own making. The structures you've built to protect yourself, ambition, relationships, achievements, begin to crumble under the weight of their own contradictions. And still, the will pushes you forward, urging you to keep climbing, keep striving, keep consuming. But why? For what end? To break free from this trap requires more than mere awareness. It demands rebellion. It means challenging the assumptions that have governed your life, questioning the narratives that have shaped your desires, and forging a new path untethered from the tyranny of the will. This is not a journey for the faint of heart, nor is it one that offers quick fixes or easy answers. But within this struggle lies the seed of transformation, a radical shift in perspective that can redefine how you see yourself, others, and the world around you. So take a step back and look at the bigger picture. See how deeply embedded these patterns are, how seamlessly they blend into the fabric of daily life. Recognize the urgency of escaping this unseen prison before it consumes everything you hold dear. Because once you understand the full scope of what's at stake, the possibility of liberation becomes not just desirable, but imperative. And as you prepare to explore the rebellion ahead, remember this: the first act of defiance is always the hardest, but it is also the most liberating. You stand now at the threshold of rebellion, a moment where the chains of desire no longer feel like inevitabilities, but as constructs you can dismantle. Breaking free is not an act of denial or suppression. It is a radical reorientation, a shift from being ruled by the will to reigning over it. This path demands courage because it requires you to confront everything you've been taught about success, happiness, and fulfillment, and then reject it. It asks you to trade the familiar comfort of craving for the unfamiliar terrain of contentment. Are you ready? The first step in this rebellion lies in recognizing that desire itself is neither inherently good nor evil. It's a neutral force. What makes it destructive is how we relate to it. Schopenhauer warned against the unchecked power of the will, but he also hinted at liberation through detachment. To break free, you must learn to observe your desires without becoming consumed by them. Imagine standing on the banks of a rushing river, watching the water surge past without jumping in. Your cravings are like that current, powerful, relentless, seductive, but they only sweep you away if you let them. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation, offer tools to cultivate this detached awareness, allowing you to see desires arise and pass without acting on every impulse. Yet mindfulness alone isn't enough. To truly rebel, you must challenge the stories you tell yourself about what you need to be happy. These narratives are often inherited from family, culture, media, and rarely reflect your authentic self. Ask yourself, who would I be without these scripts? What would my life look like if I stopped measuring my worth by external achievements? Jean-Paul Sartre argued that humans are condemned to be free, burdened with the responsibility of creating their own meaning. In this light, breaking free becomes an act of existential defiance, rejecting societal definitions of success and forging your own path. Perhaps true freedom doesn't lie in acquiring more, but in needing less. History offers glimpses of those who have walked this road before us. Consider the Stoics, who practiced radical acceptance of circumstances beyond their control while focusing solely on their own attitudes and actions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." By mastering internal responses rather than external rewards, the Stoics found peace amidst chaos. Similarly, Buddhist philosophy teaches that suffering arises from attachment to possessions, outcomes, identities, and that liberation comes through letting go. Enlightenment, in this sense, is not some distant goal, but a process of continually releasing the grip of desire. Counterintuitive though it may seem, embracing limits can also set you free. Modern society glorifies boundlessness, the idea that there's always more to achieve, acquire, or experience. But infinite possibility breeds paralysis, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. Viktor Frankl observed that meaning often emerges from constraints. When people face adversity with purpose, they discover resilience and clarity they didn't know they possessed. Setting boundaries, whether in work, relationships, or consumption, forces you to prioritize what truly matters and discard what doesn't. Paradoxically, saying no opens space for deeper forms of yes. Another powerful strategy is shifting focus from having to being. Instead of asking, "What do I want?" ask, "Who do I want to become?" This subtle change redirects energy away from transient objects of desire toward enduring qualities of character. Do you wish to embody kindness, creativity, patience, wisdom? These attributes cannot be bought or achieved. They must be cultivated through consistent practice. When you align your actions with virtues rather than cravings, you begin to build a life grounded in authenticity rather than illusion. Relationships, too, undergo transformation in this rebellion. Rather than seeking validation or security from others, you start giving freely, without expectation. Love ceases to be transactional and becomes unconditional, a gift offered simply because it feels right. Such generosity transforms not only the recipient, but also the giver, fostering connection unmarred by hidden agendas. As Nietzsche put it, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Finding purpose in service to something greater than yourself, whether another person, a community, or an ideal, can anchor you during moments of uncertainty. Breaking free also means confronting fear head-on. Fear of failure, rejection, insignificance, these are the shadows behind most desires. They whisper lies about your inadequacy and fuel endless striving. But here's the truth. Fear loses its grip when faced directly. Every time you refuse to let fear dictate your choices, you reclaim a piece of yourself. Gradually, you realize that you don't need external validation to prove your worth. You already possess it. Confidence born of self-awareness replaces the brittle armor of achievement. Finally, this rebellion invites you to embrace imperfection. Perfectionism is one of desire's cruelest traps, demanding ever higher standards that can never be met. Letting go of the need to fix yourself or your circumstances allows room for growth, messiness, and humanity. Acceptance doesn't mean complacency. It means acknowledging reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. From this place of radical honesty, real change becomes possible. As you embark on this journey, remember that breaking free is not a destination, but a continual process. There will be setbacks, moments when old habits resurface, and the pull of desire feels overwhelming. But each time you choose awareness over autopilot, simplicity over complexity, presence over projection, you strengthen your capacity for freedom. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the weight begins to lift. You find yourself lighter, clearer, more alive. But the ultimate revelation still awaits, one that transcends even this rebellion. For beneath the layers of desire, beyond the struggle for liberation, lies a truth so profound it reshapes everything you thought you knew about existence. Prepare yourself, for what comes next will demand nothing less than a complete reimagining of reality itself. You've traveled far along this path of rebellion, shedding the illusions of desire and confronting the hidden forces that once governed your life. But now, standing at the edge of understanding, you must face the final revelation. A truth so profound it dismantles not only your personal struggles, but the very framework through which you perceive reality. This is no ordinary insight. It is the culmination of all you've uncovered, a paradigm shift that redefines existence itself. Are you prepared to see the world as it truly is? Here's the ultimate truth. Desire does not exist to fulfill you. It exists to teach you. Its purpose is not to grant satisfaction, but to awaken consciousness. Every craving, every yearning, every moment of longing has been a teacher in disguise, guiding you toward deeper self-awareness. Desire's relentless pull was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal the depth of your being. It forced you to question, to seek, to transcend, to become more fully human. And now, having followed its lessons to their logical end, you arrive at the realization that liberation lies not in extinguishing desire, but in transforming your relationship with it. This transformation begins with seeing desire for what it truly is, a mirror reflecting your inner state. When you crave something external, a possession, a person, an outcome, you are not reaching for the object itself, but for a quality within you that feels absent. Love, peace, joy, freedom. These are not things to acquire, but states to embody. Your desires have always pointed inward, urging you to discover these qualities within yourself, rather than seeking them elsewhere. As Rumi wrote, "What you seek is already within you." The journey outward was merely preparation for the return home. But here's the paradox. Recognizing this doesn't mean desire disappears. Instead, it evolves. Freed from the illusion that fulfillment lies in acquisition, your desires align with creation rather than consumption. They become expressions of your highest self, impulses toward beauty, truth, and connection. No longer driven by lack, you act from abundance, an overflowing wellspring of gratitude and purpose. In this state, even the simplest acts take on sacred meaning. A conversation becomes communion. A walk in nature becomes prayer. Life itself becomes art, each moment infused with the vibrancy of presence. This shift in perspective reveals another layer of the ultimate truth. Happiness is not a destination, but a way of traveling. For so long you believed that happiness awaited you somewhere in the future, if only you could achieve enough, possess enough, or change enough. But happiness was never tied to conditions. It was always available in the present moment, obscured by the noise of striving. By letting go of the need to control outcomes, you open yourself to the richness of now. Here, in the stillness between breaths, lies pure being, a state untouched by desire or aversion, success or failure. To dwell here is to touch eternity. And yet there is one final dimension to this realization, one that transcends individual experience and touches the collective soul of humanity. Desire, in its vast and varied forms, is the engine of evolution. It drives not only personal growth, but the unfolding of consciousness itself. Each time you confront a craving, question a belief, or expand your sense of self, you contribute to the greater awakening of humankind. Your struggles are not isolated incidents, but threads in the tapestry of existence, weaving together the story of our species' journey toward wholeness. Seen in this light, every challenge carries cosmic significance, every triumph ripples outward, and every life matters infinitely. So what does this mean for you right now, today? It means living with eyes wide open, embracing both the shadows and the light within yourself and the world. It means choosing authenticity over conformity, compassion over judgment, courage over comfort. It means finding joy not in escaping pain, but in embracing the full spectrum of human experience, the laughter and the tears, the victories and the losses, the peaks and the valleys. Above all, it means remembering that you are not separate from the universe, but an integral part of its ceaseless becoming. As you step forward into this new way of being, let these words echo in your heart like a mantra. I am not my desires. I am the awareness behind them. Let them guide you as you navigate the complexities of life, reminding you that true freedom comes not from controlling circumstances, but from mastering the mind. Let them inspire you to live boldly, love deeply, and create fearlessly, knowing that every action rooted in consciousness contributes to the healing of the world. In the end, the rebellion against desire is not about rejecting it, but about integrating it into a larger vision of who you are and why you're here. It is about reclaiming your power to shape your destiny while surrendering to the mystery of existence. It is about stepping off the wheel of suffering and onto the path of awakening, not because you have nothing left to learn, but because you realize learning is the essence of life. And so, as this journey concludes, carry this realization with you like a torch illuminating the darkness. Use it to guide others who wander lost in the labyrinth of craving. Share it freely, knowing that the light grows brighter when shared. For in the end, the greatest gift you can give is the example of a life lived fully, authentically, and consciously. A life that dares to rise above the tyranny of desire and embrace the boundless possibilities of the human spirit. Now, take a deep breath. Feel the weight of everything you've discovered settle into your bones. Look around you, at the sky, the earth, the faces of those you love, and know that you are part of something immeasurably vast and profoundly beautiful. Then, with quiet resolve, step forward into the unknown. The world awaits your brilliance. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Inner Psyche so you never miss our next deep dive into the mysteries of the mind and soul.